me ask you at home, and even the guys here in the studio, a question. Let's say your boss offered you an easier way to log onto your computer in the morning, or bypass having to get change for the vending machine, or even get through a secure door by having a microchip planted in your hand. Anyone? Yes? Anyone? Yeah, well, it's apparently happening, and not everybody's happy about the idea.
President Trump's son-in-law has a 41-story size problem at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner's company still holds half of the $1.2 billion mortgage and hasn't paid a cent, forcing the Kushners to look overseas for investors. 666 Fifth Avenue, a prime piece of New York City's skyline, just 6 blocks from Central Park. Jared Kushner decided to make it his trophy in 2007.
This was the deal that put Jared on the map. I think every dynasty wants to own a piece of Manhattan.
To get the seller's attention, Kushner offered a big price, $1.8 billion, a record at the time. And the 26-year-old CEO of Kushner Companies borrowed aggressively to get the deal done.
They paid a peak price. Prices for real estate were especially inflated at the time.
Those prices tanked shortly after the purchase as the financial crisis set in. The entire deal was a miscalculation.
They had absolutely paid too much at the time. He bought at the very top of the market. So then the market turned. You're not going to get the rent appreciation that you were probably projecting in 2007.
To raise cash, the Kushners sold off some of the building's retail space and later had to bring in a partner. After the deal with the Chinese company fell through, the Kushners told us that they were talking to other bidders, but they wouldn't say who, and analysts aren't counting the Kushners out.
Turkish official is telling the Associated Press, and we have just received this, police have found evidence missing writer Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside the Saudi consulate. All of this as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Saudi Arabia meeting with the prince and the king over Khashoggi's disappearance.
U.S. intelligence officials have concluded that Saudi Arabia's crown prince was behind the journalist's killing.
There's a lot of money that wants into New York and that will pay prices that some people will view as wow, that's unreal.
Jared Kushner sold his stake in the building to avoid the obvious conflict of interest. The family, after all, might have to take foreign money to make the deal profitable. But Kushner's proximity to power might also help attract that money.
You have someone connected to the president, right? That could bring in lenders, that could bring in a foreign partner that might be interested in getting an audience with Trump.
Nobody's concluded. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to conclude that the crown prince did it. But I will say this, I don't know. I don't know. But whether he did or whether he didn't, he denies it vehemently. His father denies it, the king, vehemently. The CIA doesn't say they did it. They do point out certain things, and in pointing out those things, you can conclude that maybe he did or maybe he didn't. Saudi Arabia is tremendously helpful in the Middle East. If we didn't have Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't have a big base. We wouldn't have any reason, probably. I mean, if you look at Israel, Israel would be in big trouble without Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? Israel's going to leave? You want Israel to leave? We have a very strong ally in Saudi Arabia. We have an ally that said they did not commit at the top level, the crown prince, the king. They did not commit this atrocity, and it's an atrocity. It's a terrible thing. I dislike it more than you do. Okay?
Who should be held accountable?
Maybe the world should be held accountable, because the world is a vicious place. The world is a very, very vicious place. finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The White House hosted a group of more than 40 Silicon Valley heavyweights and other major business leaders in the United States in an effort to plot a course forward on American development of artificial intelligence. The Trump administration on Thursday announcing it is establishing a panel of federal officials to focus on AI issues and work with the private sector, in part to keep up with the growing competition from China. The meeting comes as welcome news to tech firms, while many in the U.S. are urging President Donald Trump to improve his frosty relationship with leaders of Silicon Valley. A great deal is at stake. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics.
You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture.
Implanting microchips in its employees in the skin of their hands. The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin.
This is the first American company to ever try this.
Mr. Trump defended Kushner in this statement to the New York Times, saying, quote, "Jared is doing a great job for the country. I have total confidence in him."
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. He was cautioned not to do it by advisors and world leaders alike, but today, President Trump insisted 22 years of doing the same thing in Israel has yielded nothing in terms of peace, so he is going to shake it up.
Last year, President Trump announced to the world that the United States would finally recognize the truth, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law / advisor Jared Kushner was in Jerusalem and the Palestinian territories on Wednesday in an attempt to breathe new life into a long, comatose peace process between the Palestinians and Israelis. Kushner met in Jerusalem with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for several hours. Following that meeting, he traveled to the West Bank city of Ramallah, where he met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The leaders on all sides and Kushner did not deliver any statements following those meetings. They did not give any indication of progress in their talks. U.S. President Trump has long said that he believes he could create, quote-unquote, an amazing peace process between the two sides. However, no details of what that process entails have been released.
After you declared, Mr. President, Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and this was a historic proclamation, followed by your bold decision to move the embassy by our upcoming National Independence Day. I want to tell you that the Jewish people have a long memory. So we remember the proclamation of the great king, Cyrus the Great, Persian king, 2,500 years ago.
President Trump's first trip abroad placed him at the Vatican today, marking Mr. Trump's first meeting with the leader of the Catholic Church.
House tonight. President Trump raising new questions this evening after what he said during a photo op, summoning reporters, telling them this was the calm before the storm.
And hinted at some sort of oncoming storm.
During a photo op in the White House dining room, President Trump made this puzzling comment.
You guys know what this represents? Well, maybe it's the comedy books.
Pretty disturbing comment while surrounded, of course, by his military leaders, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, all of his generals.
I share the question that was raised in that room, Margaret. What storm is the president referring to?
The White House is refusing to clarify what the president meant, and if you play out that full tape, you have reporters repeatedly say to the president, "Sir, what storm? Which storm? What storm, Mr. President?"
You'll find out.
But he says, we'll see.
At the busiest airport in the world, Terminal F check-in is now as simple as look, smile, and click.
Found you real fast.
Delta's outbound international passengers no longer required to scan their passports or carry a ticket. It's pretty simple. You walk up to the kiosk, tap facial recognition, the camera recognizes your face from your passport photo already on file, and checks you in. When you check a bag, no need for a passport or a ticket. The camera recognizes your face again. By early next year, your face will be your boarding pass for TSA. Same process for boarding the flight. Facial recognition, and I'm on the plane.
Nobody wants to stand in line any extra time, so anything that's going to speed it up is going to be great.
Homeland Security already uses the cameras for international passengers, scanning their faces.
How far apart your eyes, your ears, your chin, your mouth.
Boasting 98% accuracy. Now, Delta is bringing facial recognition to the entire check-in process.
You don't have to fumble for your ID, wait for somebody to read it, and it saves you wait times at the airport.
Next, Delta's international Detroit flights, and maybe domestic flights within 2 years. But in Atlanta,
Super easy.
the future is here.
Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Akar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which us is truth. Honors and salutations to us to say Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in honesty, sincerity, charity, and the sound doctrine. And to the Akwatim and to the children that believe on the true names of the Father and the Son, which the Father's name is Yahweh, the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh means he exists. Yahweh Shai is here to deliver, because he's going to deliver us out of this captivity, man. You know, that's what's going on, man. You see, you know, the apostle deemed the year right, man, because he said by 2020, which is next year, it's 2019, man. He said you will receive the mark of the beast, man. You know, and they putting up all these different they basically setting up for the system, you know, the RFID microchip system, you know. But I just want to bring out one scripture, man. Nothing too long, because they put scriptures throughout the video, and brothers should know these scriptures, man. You know. That's right. Okay. So this is the book of Job, chapter 20 and 23. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating, man. All right, so that's what Esau is doing now. He think he's filling his belly. That's why you see him setting up all these systems, setting up the system, getting prepared for the RFID microchip. It's like you had that, I think that was Denver, Colorado, and you know, they had the facial recognition. All you gotta do, he said, all you gotta do is come and tap, and it recognizes your face, and then you can slide through and hop on the plane. That's the reason. That's another reason why you have this partial government shutdown, and they're not paying the employees. Why? Because they don't need them no more. You know. So when they don't need you no more, what they do, they throw you aside, throw you in the trash. You know, and they showed you that in that video. So all you're going to have to do is come. They had one dude in there, sitting there watching, and you come through and scan. If they got that technology, it can scan through you. It can scan through your bag and see everything, man. You know? So, hey, Israel, man, stay aware, man. This is 2019, the year of Charagma. Or just another RFID microchip update, man. Stay strong, stay focused, man. We almost out of here, Yasharala. And to the next lesson, I'm going to say, Shalom and death to America, because we almost out of here. Shalom.